Hello. It's a fine spring morning. Look at this. And I'm chucking a few things in the back of the car to take down to the boat. Now, the big things, you can't forget them really, can you? I mean, my next trip, I've got much in the back of my big estate car here, but it's going to be full soon because I'm going down to Lymington to see Pete Sanders, my sailmaker, and he has got 3 sails, the full suit of sails for my boat, except for the Code Zero. They're all there in his loft waiting to be piled into my car. And then there's the obvious things like going shopping. You've got to get all your shopping in, you've got to buy your cans of beans and your sides of bacon and all the rest of the stuff that you've got to take, and you probably won't forget them either. But it's good fun going to the shops and getting them. You never know who you'll meet in the supermarket, do you? I always enjoy a trip there. But listen, it's the little things that you forget that really you don't want to go to sea without, that I'd like to share with you now. Here's a few of the things that I sometimes forget and always wish I haven't. So I've written down them on a little list here to make sure I get it right. Look, here's the first one. Fuel filters. Have you got plenty of those? Because if you get a bad fill of fuel and you're in the middle of the English Channel or halfway across the North Sea and your engine stops, you've absolutely had it. It happened to me once. I was bound for Cherbourg from Yarmouth, Isle of Wight in a Brixham trawler. That's a socking great big gaff ketch. Didn't sail all that well, to be honest. Compared with a modern yacht, it was a bit like sailing a haystack. But off we went, and then we ran out of breeze and it came round ahead. Well, not very nice. So I started up the engine. There was a big leftover lot, and we were bashing along. And the engine faltered, and then it stopped. And I couldn't get it going. And I worked out pretty quickly that we had clogged fuel filters because the boat hadn't been out for a long time. It was out getting churned up. The fuel was in a mess. Clogged filters. I went for a spare, we didn't have any. So I had to sail the boat back, anchor off Yarmouth, get my punt, row ashore, middle of the night, nothing doing. Next day we got going, we got some filters, lost a whole day. So make sure you've got at least 2 spare fuel filters. Here's something else you need. A corkscrew. Now then, my natural preference is an old-fashioned corkscrew with a proper handle. You pull the bottle between your knees and you pull it out. But really, you've got to be standing up to do that. So when you're on a boat, the ideal one is one of those you used to get free with the Sunday Times Wine Club. But I've got a Rolls-Royce version here. Look at this. This is from Le Creuset. A Christmas present from my daughter. I've had it for years and I absolutely love it. It's got a 2-stage pull, so you stick the cork in, you lever a bit of the cork, and then you hook that one on and you lever the rest of it out. And the wonderful thing about it is, just like the Sunday Times one, you can do it sitting down. And that's what you need to be able to do on a boat, because you're sat at the saloon table, you're stuck in there. So there you go. A decent corkscrew. What else do we need? You need your ship's papers. Have you remembered those? If you might even possibly go foreign, make sure you've got your passports. Make sure you've got your proof of VAT paid certificate. I hate these things. I just hate these pieces of paper, but there's always some guy with a clipboard coming along wanting to make sure you've got everything. So make sure you've got that, or at least got something that proves you have it. Insurance papers are good to have as well. And if you're going to go foreign for sure, well, consult the latest information and make sure that you've got the customs forms. Okay, what's next? My favourite book. You can see that it's falling to pieces. Well, I've had this book. I've taken this book to sea ever since I first went to sea in 1969. And it's been my ever-present help in trouble. People think this is Kipling's verse. And it's interesting that the selection was made by none other than T.S. Eliot, one of the greatest poets of the 20th century. And it's very fashionable to rubbish Kipling these days. Oh, he's an empire loyalist, he understood nothing, he was probably a slave trader, all the rest of the stuff that we get now. The fact is, he was nothing of the sort. One of his prime poems was one we used to sing as a hymn in my school, my grammar school in the north of England, when I was a little boy. And it's Lest We Forget. And that's the message. But it's not so much about that I love him for. It's for his poems about the sea. The man was amazing. He had no background in the sea, but you know, he managed to hit the nail right on the head whenever he wrote about it, and he wrote about it a lot. So he must have listen to this. This is you're coming down the Thames in dense fog from London. going out to sea and coming down through the downs, out through the English and down through the English Channel. And this is what he writes, and it's absolutely atmospheric. I love it. Oh, the mutter overside when the port fog holds us tied and the sirens hoot their dread. When foot by foot we creep o'er the hueless, viewless deep to the song of the questing lead. It's down by the Lower Hope, dear lass, with the Gunfleet sands in view, till the mouse swings green on the old trail, our own trail, the out trail, and the gull light lifts on the long trail, the trail that is always new. Well, that's a sailor's poem, isn't it? So take your copy of Kipling's verse, or whatever it is turns you on, but take something with you other than the Nautical Almanac, for goodness sake. Another thing that I don't have in my hands because it's on the boat is a little tiny box of Iona stones. Once Ros and I went ashore in Iona, and we found on the beach there were these little stones that somebody told us if we carried those with us we'd never drown. Well, we're still here, we're in our 70s now, and we still haven't drowned. It might be time yet, but we've got the stones and they've served us in good stead. So a little bit of something whimsical like that. Some wouldn't say it's whimsical. Think it out for yourself and decide what you want. Now then, here's something totally practical. Oh, a long rope, a serious rope. If you've bought your boat recently from a manufacturer, he'll have given you a few bits of string to tie up in a marina with. Not much good to anybody really once you're outside a marina, or even if you've got a raft up in a harbour where there's a load of boats tied together. You need a couple of good, long, strong ropes. You never know what you're going to need them for, but need them you will. One time I was tied up to a pontoon in western Norway, and there was a glacier up on top of the mountains, and it was glimmering in the moonlight, and it was a grand sight. And we tied up to this pontoon. There was another guy there, and the pontoon was moored to the shore. I thought, well, that's all right, and I turned in for the night. And suddenly, I don't know, about an hour later, there was a great rushing wind, and what had happened was the glacier had let go. It was still up there, but it had let go its air, which was rushing down the hill and running over us like a great gale of wind, and it was strong. And it had picked us up, and we were blowing away from the dock. And I thought, I looked at this, and I thought, God, there's a lot of slack in those tie-up ropes for the pontoon. They'd let go. We were on our way. We were on our way with the pontoon and the boat. And I got in my dinghy. I rowed ashore with the longest rope I'd got. I tied it to a tree, and then I brought it back to my boat, and I put it on the windlass. And I winched us back in, pontoon and all. So the long rope saved me. If I'd been mucking about with those little tiny pieces of string you get from the manufacturer, forget it. No good at all. Sutcliffe, the great photographer of the 19th century, up in Yorkshire, he took some fabulous pictures. And when Ros and I first went to sea proper in 1972, Ros said to me, I don't want pictures of the boat down here. We're going to be sitting out there in gales of wind in the open ocean. There'll be waves broken over the boat and horrible grey seas. I don't want to see a picture of a boat. I want to see a picture of the earth. I want to be able to smell it and feel it. And we found a picture taken by Sutcliffe in the 19th century of a ploughboy behind a team of horses, and his mate was bringing his lunch out. And that's just the most wonderful picture. You can feel the horses steaming. And we've had that picture on our boat ever since 1972. It's been everywhere with us, and it's on our boat now. So I can't forget it because it's screwed up. But if you've got a picture like that that really does it for you, something other than the inevitable picture of your boat, put it up there and be delighted by it every time you come on board. Knife. Gerber. You've got to have one of these. I personally favour the knife, but my son-in-law's got one of these. Look at that, what a lovely bit of kit. It's got everything on it, screwdrivers, it's even got a knife blade. It's favoured by most people, and you can put it on your belt. If you haven't got one, you've really got to get one. Or do what I do and carry a Swiss Army knife. Look at that, totally illegal, absolutely wonderful, locking blade. If you walk out in the street in this and get arrested, they'll put you inside for carrying this. But if you can convince the honest officer that you're on your way to your boat, he'll probably let you off. And once you're on your boat, of course, you can have it in your pocket as much as you like. And it's got everything on it. It's got screwdrivers. It's even got a can opener that works, that bailed me out last summer when the ship's can opener died and we had to get inside the Fray Bentos steak and kidney pie, the thing that every sailor needs after a bad night at sea. And we found the tin opener was broken. What were we going to do? Well, I got my Swiss Army knife out. It made a bit of a George of the job, but we got in and we had the pie, so it was okay. It's got a corkscrew in case your fancy one breaks. It's got a little prodder. Look at that. Really sharp. And it's got a little hole in. I honestly don't know what that's for, but you know what I use it for? If you've got a bottle of stuff that you've bought with perhaps fish or something in it and you can't open it because of the inside pressure, just tap that down on the top, makes a tiny little hole, the air gets off, top comes off lovely. So don't go away without your knife or your gerber, and last of all, the sailor's friend, the wire coat hanger. If you haven't got one of these, find one. They don't give them out. They used to give these out when you went to the dry cleaner. All your clothes had these on. They were absolutely great because you see, you can dismantle this and the wire is completely malleable. You can make hooks with it. You can make prodders with it for prodding holes out. If you've lost something, get a hook on the end and you can get into the most impossible place and pull it out. There's no end to what you can do with a wire coat hanger. And any boat that goes to sea without one of these is looking for trouble. So there you are. We've got the whimsical, the things that delight me, the things that I must have, and the things that, well, really, everybody should have. So have a bit of a think about it. Make a little list like mine. Here it is, look. And get it written down and go to sea happy.